thought we would just go through another week's worth of things that have sold in our online shops, eBay, Etsy, etc., etc. And as you can see, I'm starting out in a different eBay store. This is the one that Mr. Pish Posh runs and takes care of, and I don't really have anything to do with that. So I was just kind of was thinking about our whole reselling journey, and it's interesting how over the years things just are always changing and morphing, and how we handle things is always just kind of changing. And some of it's intentional with like a plan or a goal, and some of it just kind of happens. And so Mr. Pishposh had opened this one, Brick a la Mode, because he was working on selling off some of the Lego that we've accumulated over the years. And so it was going to be very Lego oriented, or toys or things like that. And it is for the most part, but along the way, he's just ended up listing kind of guy stuff in there as well. Things that I don't really have anything to do with the listing. I don't know anything about it. It's tools, it's whatever. When he's doing a draft or something for me, like clothing over in the other eBay store, he'll just run things, he'll just put things in as drafts, and then I'll go through it and add just different keywords, or maybe adjust pricing, or just different things like that I just have a little bit more experience with. But this has kind of ended up being his shop. Now, the reason I was bringing it up is because I was just going to share a sale, and I am planning on getting Mr. Pishposh to join me, hopefully pretty soon, and just kind of do a highlight of some of the things that have sold in his eBay store over the past, just some highlights and things like that, the things that you guys might find interesting. So as you can see, he does have a lot of Lego currently going, but he does do tools and car parts and toys and all sorts of things that I wouldn't even be able to help him with. So, and that's stuff he really enjoys working on and doing. So what I wanted to show you is that, as you can see, here's the Amarok carriage house was the words I was looking for. So if you saw my last video where I just had gone thrifting and was sharing some things that I had thrifted, I mentioned these switch plate covers, and I had seen them in a bag on the wall at the thrift store, and I just thought, oh, that's so exciting. I love finding vintage hardware like this, and I had discovered that within the last year or two, like prices had gone up on those. And so I don't know if it's a matter of things are just kind of oversaturated at the moment, like other people discovered it, or it's really Etsy that you can get higher prices on. But the prices showing on eBay were just kind of like so-so, especially for like just two small pieces like this. So he has it listed for $24.99. That's fair. A lot of people on Etsy are listing each one for like $20 or more. So he probably could bump his price on Etsy a little higher. Speaking of Etsy, we do have a shop on Etsy called Toma Salvage that was mostly for things like this, hardware and tools and things like that Mr. Pishposh, we had run it years ago. And so he revived that store because he was listing things like this. He was listing, he's been a carpenter for a long time, a finished carpenter. He specializes in doors and windows, and he ended up over the years of just salvaging tons of like doorknobs and all sorts of things like that. And so he has been cleaning out the garage, trying to get rid of that stuff. And so he's finally got that Etsy shop kind of reopened again, and he's been putting stuff like that in there. So I don't usually put all that into my what sold videos, but we'll talk about some of those things when I can get him to join me, because he knows what's going on. But all of that huge big story just to tell you that he got this is the piece. These are the ones that I was excited about, what I saw in the bag. And then I think I told you over here, you can see the Big Sky Carvers single switch plate covers with the trout on it. And those were kind of bonus, right? And then this turned out to be not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. But then go figure, he sells 3 of these already. Like within a couple days of listing them, and made $45. So somebody paid the full asking price for 3 of them. So, and he was laughing because he missed my story. Like I told him the whole thing about the bag, but he, I don't know, wasn't listening or something. But he's listing these switch plate covers going, why in the world did she buy these? Like, who's going to want these? So it just goes to show you could resell for 20 years and still not know a thing about what people want or what things are worth. And so he was like, blew him away when 3 of them sold right away. And, you know, I'm all happy. Whatever happens with the rest of the stuff, I turned $3.99 into $45, or, you know, the 2 of us together did. And anyway, I just thought that was a funny story, and I just wanted to tell it to you fresh, while it was fresh in my mind, and I had just told it, you know, explained about it in the last video. Okay, so let's pop over to the other main eBay store that you guys are used to seeing, my Pish Posh shop. And we're talking about the second week in February, so almost about a month ago. These Vibrant 5 Fingers minimalist kind of shoes, hiking shoes sold. Now these obviously are always going to be noticeable because of the toes in the shoe, and they still sell really well. These sold for $40. I had a pair of women's not that long ago, same thing, $40, $50. So they're still going strong if you kind of come across them. And they got a lot of attention on Depop as well. A lot of that Gorpcore kind of stuff on Depop gets attention over there anyway as well. I don't know because I know I skipped over some of my sales while I was catching up. I can't remember if I had shown you that I had sold 2 of these previously, and I think I got $30. So basically $15 a piece, and I had found a bag of 3. So I listed 2 together and then 1 single. The other 2 I think might have sold on Etsy. These sold, this one obviously is eBay, $14.99. I got good feedback from it, so the person was happy to find that. So it's definitely made me kind of look at the drapery type things a little bit more often, like pay a little closer attention to some of the drapery hardware, because I have a feeling that can be something people are looking for. Okay, this was a Goodwill find, just a no-name kind of hat, like a cadet or a watch hat. I don't know what you call it. A beanie with a brim. But anyway, $22. It had no brand. It was just, we sold it based on made in the USA, and it was wool polyester kind of thing. So that sold for $22, which at the end of winter, it got listed and sold really fast, and I can't complain about that. $15.99 for Oneida Mozart iced teaspoons. I had started running a 20% off sale that week, and so those sold on the sale price. Again, another sale from the sale. These Tramontina steak knives. These were just something we picked up at the bins. So they just were in good condition. The handles were super pretty, but anyway, those sold pretty quickly as well for $15.99. Another kind of lowish sale, but I was happy to move this through. I had sold some rip skirts like pretty fast and easily, and then it kind of slowed down. This might have been my last one. I might have one more listed. I'm not sure, but I found a bunch of them, even at different thrift stores, like kind of within a short amount of time. And so this actually sold on an offer for $16, and I was just kind of happy to move it along. Sometimes older inventory, it's just time to let it go. Okay, Hush Puppies just goes to show, you don't have to like think something's pretty for it to sell. But they were new. They were comfort shoes. There's always a market for this type of thing. And so I can't remember what we paid. I think we were at a local thrift store together, and Mr. Pish Posh picked this one up. But I think I have this vague memory of the store was running a shoe sale, and which is what made him look at the shoes in the first place. So $10 or less is what we paid. They sold for $31.99. And then we had this backpack. I don't know if you realized, I don't think I realized that Keen makes backpacks or bags or things like that. And so we had this for a bit. I think we kept it with the idea of using it, and then it never really got used. And so Mr. Pish Posh cleaned it up and listed it. Or maybe he didn't have to clean it up. He might have just disclosed whatever issues that it had. That's right. It says as is in the title. So $39.99 is what that sold for. Nice kind of heavy duty canvas bag. GoPro. Now this is just, you have to decide on things like this if it's worth your time. We find little bottles and drinking vessels all the time at the bins. So we're not paying a ton for these. These did sell during our sale of 20% off, which is like the higher end of a sale that I usually do. I don't usually go that high, but this was right after, it was that first week after I was recovering, and I just wanted to we were trying to kickstart the store and kind of get some stuff moving. We weren't listing as much, and so we just thought we could move some things through. But what we have found for some of these kind of no-name brand drinking things, as if they're a giveaway for some company or some entity that is kind of popular, that they'll still move no matter what. And so it's for GoPro. I'm constantly surprised about when we pick these up, if they're in good condition. I'm kind of like, how is anyone going to find this or want this? And things like this actually sell pretty well here and on Poshmark. And so this one actually moved really quickly for the $15. This next one took a while to sell. I remember Mr. Pish Posh saying, oh, wow, I forgot we even still had that. So I don't think it was that long, but, over 6 months. It's this just Oster designer sandwich maker, but it was made in Hong Kong in 1985, but it had never been used. You can see it's all packaged up nicely in there. And it's like a sandwich maker, panini type thing. And there's other ones out there, but someone decided they wanted the one they used to have, or maybe the one they had since the 80s no longer worked, and so they were looking for a replacement. So you just never know what people are looking for out there. Next up is this cute little dish. I think I got it right before, I don't remember if I shared it with you, but I think I got it right before my surgery, one of my last thrifting trips. And this background actually is a picture I took, an item I listed, the first item I listed in a little tiny photo studio. I had put a little post about that in the community tab. But I was just trying to list things that were teeny tiny with the energy that I had. And this was sitting here. I threw it on there, took my pictures, listed it. It sold that night. So I took an offer for $16 and just moved it through quickly. And it's by Royal Crown Derby. It was issued during the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. And so it had a little bit of age to it, but coronation stuff can do pretty well. This did sell faster than I expected, though. And hats. Okay, so we still look at hats. We are not selling hats to the degree that we used to. And that is mostly because the previous location of our clearance store or our bins, they had things separated out a lot more based on categories. So if you guys have watched me any length of time, there would be a huge bin that was all hats. And so you could just go in and look at all the hats. Now the hats are mixed in with the clothing on those conveyor belts. And I just don't come across them as often. And so our other sources for hats are the regular thrift stores. And Goodwill is still okay. They're about $2 a hat. But in the past I was getting hats for 10 cents. So we bought a lot more of them. But this one actually sold pretty quickly. This was, I believe, a Goodwill hat, and it was $2 and it sold for $20. but again, it sold really fast. And then we are also, we look at the accessories all the time at the thrift stores. This is a Mountain Hardwear women's hat. This sold for $20.79 on that sale. And this belt, this was a nice sale, $28.79 for this just a kind of a tooled leather, very basic kind of belt. So that was a nice sale that was moving on. Roberts & Belk, I think I talked about this brand. I had never, no, maybe I just talked about it on Facebook, just as one of my like little posts of what I'm doing right now kind of thing. But I had never sold any flatware by Roberts & Belk. And I found these, okay, what's the brand? Now it's going to escape me. Not Gorham. Ugh. Anyway, so the pattern is called Hartford. I actually might have it over here. But anyway, the pattern is called Hartford. When I found this, it was mixed in Wallace, maybe. It was mixed in with other flatware by Wallace, also called Hartford. And my son took some time and he separated it all out for me. I determined that like it was important to even sell it separately because like the length of the spoons was different and everything like that. So I've listed all the Roberts & Belk Hartford and then the Wallace Hartford. It looks very, very similar to this, but I'm going to sell that, get that listed separately, if that makes sense. So anyway, this is the first bit that sold from what I had come up with, and there was 8 teaspoons that sold for $28 basically. And then Vuori. Okay, this is a name to be on the lookout for if you aren't already. It's performance wear or like athleisure, athletic wear. And it is, I'm showing you that logo. It'll also, let's see. There's usually the tag is inside. This one had the tag cut out. But the logo there does help. And I did get this for a fairly good price, I think, at the thrift store. That's usually pretty pricey. I think it might have been like $5 or something, and it sold for $45. I did accept an offer on that. So it's still doing pretty well. A lot of other brands, they kind of get hyped and they do really good for a while and then it just kind of starts dropping. But as far as I can tell, Vuori is still kind of holding its own. Now hopping over to Poshmark, I sold this scarf. It was a very kind of equestrian looking scarf, and I just was like, I saw it from a distance at the thrift store and I was like, oh, that'd be awesome if it's Ralph Lauren. But it's not. It's whatever this brand, Saatchi. Anyway, they sell it at Anthropologie. I don't know if this particular piece was sold there, but it's a brand that Anthropologie will partner up with. So that sold for $36 on Poshmark. And then here's a pair of Teva sandals. At first I was like, oh, we got these at the bins, but then all of a sudden it like clicked that I had actually, I might have at one point, but I had thrifted these, kept them, and then it turned out I was hardly ever wearing them. So I cleaned them out of my closet and sold them for $25. I really think I need to list more of my jewelry over onto Poshmark. I think I've cross-listed quite a bit, but I think I just need to keep doing more. This is a very common Avon necklace, and they'll be all over eBay and all over Etsy. And on eBay, it'll sell for $8 or $10 or something like that. But it just goes to show if you put something onto a new marketplace where there won't be as many of those, someone will just buy it for what it is, for the look of it. It's a really cool pendant and from the 70s, and it sold on Posh for $17. I think when they made the switch on Poshmark from Priority Mail to Ground Advantage, and so the price dropped a little bit, it's a little more palatable for people to buy a small item like this on Poshmark. And another jewelry sale on there, House of Harlow, sold for $21. Got these just at the thrift store and thought they were really cool statement looking piece. And this mug that I have featured in previous videos about coffee mugs and how this is like the style of one of the style of mugs that I love to sell. These no spill wide bottom, no like grippy kind of travel mugs. I like to sell. Anyway, sold for $23 on Poshmark. And it was, the brand is Barely Surviving, and this is kind of just an unusual print with bunny rabbits on it. Another piece of jewelry, vintage jewelry that sold on Poshmark was this Monet filigree kind of clamper bangle bracelet. $22 is what that sold for. And a pair of sneakers by Brooks for $37. We just grabbed these at the thrift store because they were in such good condition. And so that's what we ended up doing, $37 for those. Over on Etsy, yay! This is a little flatware holder and I have had it listed for a really long time, and it gets a lot of attention, but like nobody would send an offer. Nobody, you know, there was no like action. I'd send offers, like all this. And then finally somebody bought it for $18 over on Etsy. It is a kind of a smaller one, but if you have a smaller drawer, that would be perfect. And it's got a great 70s color. If you like that color, a lot of people are tired of avocado green, but anyway, I still like it. And then did you know that Bodum has flatware? So they have this melamine. We found this melamine flatware at the thrift store. You know, it's not a complete set or anything like that, but we sold it finally for $35. I won't say it was fast. It did take a while for it to move. And then more flatware over on Etsy, this Marcrest Ebony Elegance. This is the flatware that, let me look. You won't see the name Marcrest on it. It just says Stainless Japan, but if you look at the pattern, it's got 3 stars up here, 2 stars down here. It's got that black synthetic handle. And I always look for flatware like that. It always sells well for us. So these 3 pieces were teaspoons and they sold for $24. And then over in the pattern shop, I have this kind of independent pattern called Skylines, sold for $18. This Celtic inspired kind of outfit jackets. This Vogue sold for $15. Mrs. Shorts and Pants. And go figure, like wide leg is in, but these are tapered, but maybe they were looking to make some shorts. You never know. $15 for those. And then this vintage Vogue 1980s Calvin Klein blouse pattern sold for $17. And then I did for that week also have a Depop sale, and I sold this hat, and it sold for $15 was the offer I ended up taking. It's by Gap, just kind of a cadet newsboy kind of style. So anyway, all right, I think that's all I have to share with you at the moment. I had a lot of chit chat at the beginning of this video, so feel free to leave a comment down below. As always on these videos, please let me know what your how your sales are going. This video is about February, but if you want to talk about sooner, was February good for you? It historically can be a rough month for resellers, but kind of the reports I'm hearing are all over the place. And so just let me know anything fun that's happened for you, a good sale, a good find, whatever. Leave it in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys soon.